Welcome back to 100 years of Nazdar history. I ended the last video with a 1960 advertisement listing Nazdar's 12 ink lines. As we enter the 1960s, there are many new developments in the printing industry. Arguably, the most important is the growth of the offset version of lithography. This is where an image is offset from a rigid metal plate to a rubber impression cylinder which comes in contact with the substrate. This change makes offset lithography the best printing process for printing on paper substrates. Offset lithography eventually replaces silkscreen and letterpress for most medium and long-run paper printing. The silkscreen process initially combats this by promoting specialty inks like fluorescents and metallics. This October 1960 Nazdar impact ad for fluorescent inks also introduces a new company logo, which is used from this date until 1988 in the acquisition of Casey Coatings. As paper printing declines for silk screening, there is a huge increase in the printing of plastics, metals, glass, and textiles. This becomes the real strength for silkscreen printing and is still today. This is also the time that Nazdar expands to worldwide distribution and manufacturing. In September of 1961, Nazdar President Robert Doran announces that Dambriem Frères in Brussels, Belgium, will manufacture and distribute Nazdar inks in Europe. In a press release, Doran was quoted as saying, "The potential for screen process printing in Europe is limitless." In October of 1961, Nazdar publishes an article to promote what they call the industry's most modern ink plant. That is located at 1140 North Cherry Avenue in Chicago. This article highlights the facility with these photographs of the R&D department and the production facility. There are many industry innovations in the early 1960s, which include the introduction of photographic emulsions for the imaging of screens, the Pantone matching system, plastisol inks for t-shirts, Cincinnati Super Jet dryers for solvent-based inks, and the Precision Multicolor Automatic Towel Printing Machine, all of which will change the business for Nazdar and Nazdar customers. Nazdar continues to introduce and promote new ink products with magazine ads. There were many ads to introduce the IL or industrial lacquer inks that focused on performance. One included a letter of recommendation from the technical director, Gene Bodart. This is the start of making inks for plastics beyond just vinyls. The company introduces the PS Plastisol series for t-shirts and the 70,000 series Plastivac inks because molded plastic signage becomes popular. Many of us have seen these type of molded signs like the Shell gas station sign. Beyond inks, Nazdar continues to grow as a company. In 1963, Nazdar introduces a new equipment division that will supply silkscreen printers with equipment and supplies for a growing industry. Later that year, Robert Doran retires as president and John Pottage is named company president. The next year, Nazdar moves into a new facility at 1087 North Branch Street in Chicago. This was the corporate headquarters of Nazdar until 1995 and also in use by Nazdar until 2015. In 1964, Casey Coatings, the company Nazdar acquired in 1982, runs its first full-page ad in Screen Process magazine promoting their Thermalset enamel ink. The following year, Casey Coatings runs ads titled The Casey Coatings Gazette in Screen Process magazine. Here is issue number 3, which promotes the new Casey Coatings facility in Atlanta and the unique skill that KC chemists are also pilots that can fly to customers to solve printing problems. Dale Sloan is pictured next to the company's Cessna Skylane airplane. That same year, Nazdar changes their advertising strategy and begins to run an ad for multiple months, which is a departure from running a different ad each month. The advertisements continue to be creative, varied, and are primarily in black and white. Since April is the start of the baseball season here in the United States, I thought it was a good time to look at the baseball theme ads from this time period. The first is a "You are safe with Nazdar inks on any surface." The second is "Why is baseball like pigments Nazdar uses in its inks?" And finally, an example of how the industrial lacquer is more flexible. Nazdar introduces several new products in the second half of the 1960s, which include the 49,000 series fast dry enamels, the TY series for Tyvek, the MY series for Mylar, the Styrelax series for styrene, the ND Nazdar textile inks, and the 226 resist ink, all of which are promoted in the new 32 catalog. In the last half of the 1960s, there are other important industry developments that change the way Nazdar customers work. There's an increased focus on efficiency and speed in production. Nazdar introduces a complete reclaiming and exposure system. Sakurai introduces a general cylinder press. And CFAR and other mesh companies introduce monofilament polyester screen mesh, which eventually leads to the changing of the name of the silk screen process to screen printing when polyester becomes accepted industry-wide. Join me next month, and we will move into the 1970s and events that some of you may even remember. Until then, Nazdrovia.